Welcome to the Standard Response Protocol training, adapted from the I Love You Guys Foundation and provided by the Regional School Safety Center at ESD 112. We are going to spend the next 20 minutes talking about the Standard Response Protocol and how teachers, students, and the entire school community can use these standard emergency actions. Schools across our region are adopting these 5 terms and practices to enhance student and staff safety during an incident or emergency. The key to standard response protocol is that there is a simple, shared vocabulary between staff, students, parents, and first responders. And when used, everyone involved shares the same expectations. We start with first responders. So if something happens at our school, they will know what to do. Teachers and staff are given the same training. And the same language is shared with students, so they know what to do. It's also important to tell parents so they understand what is happening and what their role should be. Standard response protocol is based on 5 actions that we take during an incident or an emergency. Hold, secure, lock down, evacuate, and shelter. Each action is followed by a directive. Directives are specific instructions for what to do in an emergency. When a protocol is announced, the action and its directive will be repeated. Hold in your classroom. Hold in your classroom. Hold is used when we need to keep the corridors clear of students. It might be a medical emergency or a hazmat spill in the hallways. Or maybe something else needs to be cleaned up. A hold may be localized to one area of the school, or it could be for the entire school. If students are in the hallway, they should go to their assigned classroom. Otherwise, students remain in their classroom until the all clear is announced. Teachers also remain in the classroom until the all clear is announced. Teachers close and lock the door. It can be open for any student that needs to get out of the hallway and into the classroom. Teachers verify that everyone is still in class. Take attendance and note the time. Teachers may continue teaching or offer time to read or study. What about class changes? Everyone will remain in class even if the bell rings. If you're in the hallway, an announcement might be made to go to the nearest classroom or proceed to your next scheduled class. Is this a lockdown? No, this is not a lockdown. We'll talk more about lockdown in a moment. With the hold protocol, we just want to keep the hallways cleared. Students remain in their seats, continue lessons, or if lessons are done, students may be given time to read or study. No drama here. Secure. Get inside, lock outside doors. Secure. Get inside, lock outside doors. We use secure when there is a threat outside of the building. There might be criminal activity. or a dangerous animal outside, which actually does happen at some schools in our region, such as cougar or bear sightings. Students should get in the building. For the most part, it's business as usual inside the building. If secure lasts into recess or lunch, no one is allowed in or out. We are staying in the building. Same thing is true at the end of the school day. Depending on what's happening, we may have to stay in the building, or students that walk home may have to call their parents to be picked up. Teachers should bring everyone inside. Make sure you know how to notify students or staff who are outside. Talk to your building principal if you're not sure. If there are exterior doors in the classroom, make sure they are locked. Teachers may also be asked to check if nearby exterior doors are locked. Increase your situational awareness. Be attentive and be aware of what's going on and happening around you. Verify that everyone is still in class. Take attendance and note the time. Teachers can continue teaching lessons or find other alternate activities, maintaining business as usual, or as close to usual as possible. There is a life cycle during Secure. Staff will lock all outside doors, and initially, no one is allowed in or out. Depending on the incident, it can eventually be safe to release students to parents. We call that a controlled release. Or it might be safe to monitor who's allowed to enter the school building. That is called a monitored entry. In some schools, the Secure protocol used to be called a lockout, a modified lockdown, or other terminology. This led to confusion with the different terms. Lockdown and lockout were too similar. We are now using the term secure. What are the reasons for a secure? When there is a threat or danger outside of the school. There are many reasons why a secure might be called. It could be a high-speed chase nearby, police activity, a suspicious person, a custody issue, or maybe a fire in the neighborhood. Who can call a secure? Students can report situations to a staff member. Teachers can report a situation to the main office. Most likely, the school will receive a call from police and would then initiate the secure protocol within the school. What about class changes? Most of the time, it's business as usual. Normal in-building class changes can occur. If a threat is very close to the school, the response may be to go into secure, then lockdown. Can we leave the school? Usually not. There is something dangerous near the school. This means that even if the school day ends, we may have to stay in the building until the threat is mitigated. A lockdown is more serious. Lockdown. Locks, lights, out of sight. Lockdown. Locks, lights, out of sight. Lockdown is used when there is a threat inside the school building. It could be the wrong person, or maybe a weapon reported on campus. It could be something worse, like an armed intruder or some other threat inside the building. Having a time barrier can help keep people with bad intentions out or slow them down. And it turns out that a locked classroom door is a proven time barrier. The U.S. Department of Justice has studied these events. 70% are over in 5 minutes. 90% are over in 10. In 2015, the Sandy Hook Commission released its summary report. The #1 environmental design recommendation was the ability to lock the classroom door from inside the classroom. Why? Their research found 0 cases of a gunman breaching a locked classroom door. 0. The foundation expanded the scope, and there are a couple of edge cases, like in Red Lake, Minnesota. The gunman breached the side windows by the classroom door to gain entry. What should students do? First, stay out of sight from the corridor window. How do you know you're out of sight? If you can't see out the corridor window, no one in the hall can see in to you. Also, sit on the floor and get low. Remember, a locked door is a proven time barrier. Be absolutely silent and turn off your phone. Do not open the door for anyone. Administrators or law enforcement will unlock the door and release the room. When it's lockdown, locks, lights, out of sight, depending on what you see and hear, you might want to sweep the hallway for students. However, if the threat is close to your classroom, focus on getting the door locked and closed as quickly as possible. Turn out the lights. Be silent and maintain student silence. Turn off your phone. Most law enforcement agencies are no longer recommending sliding red and green cards under the door. The reasoning is twofold. First, they won't believe the message until they have verified the status of the classroom. Second, you might be giving too much information to the bad guy. Generally, the guidance is to leave blinds alone. If they're open, leave them open. If they're closed, leave them closed. You might be inside of the hallway window when you are adjusting the shades and putting yourself in danger. Work with your local law enforcement to determine what's best for your school. Teachers should not try to lock the building's exterior doors. The reasoning is simple. Sending staff to lock outside doors may expose them to unnecessary risk and inhibits first responders' entry into the building. The best option is to have the ability to lock and unlock doors remotely. If you are with young students, it may be soothing to very quietly read to them. If you can, take attendance. Note if you have any missing students or any extra students swept from the hallway. Note the time. You probably won't need to do anything with the roster at this point, but this is creating a chain of custody and will be useful over the life cycle of the event. In a lockdown, prior to a police-led evacuation, do not open the door for anyone. Police or administration will unlock the door. A lockdown cannot be ended with a PA announcement. It only ends with administration or police opening the door and releasing the room. During an active violence event, another option is to self-evacuate. Some schools practice run, hide, fight. The important thing to remember is do what you need to do to stay safe. So, what's the difference between secure and lockdown? Secure is when the threat is outside the building. A lockdown is when the threat is inside the building. What if you're outside? If you're outside and a lockdown is called, do not go back into the building. Rather, go to a safe location and make sure you notify the school of your location. What if there is no teacher? Get behind a locked door if possible. If it's not possible, close the door and get out of sight. Or you may try to evacuate if the threat is not in your immediate vicinity. What if you're in the hallway? Teachers check the halls quickly before they lock and turn the lights out. Get to a classroom, any classroom, as quickly as you can and lock down. If the classroom is already locked, then find a place to hide. Do not go from classroom to classroom. Evacuating might be another option. What if the fire alarm sounds? Stay in the classroom unless you see fire or smoke is filling your classroom. If you must evacuate due to a fire or smoke, the hallway may not be your best option. Consider using an alternate door, window, or any other exterior exit. Can students text their parents? In the time immediately after a lockdown is called, remain silent and silence your phone. As the situation evolves, you might be given an opportunity to text your parents. Your teacher will ask you to text them that you are okay. Evacuate. Evacuate is how to move everyone in an orderly fashion from point A to point B. With SRP, evacuate is always followed by a location. For example, evacuate to the gym. Evacuate to the gym. Usually, you leave your stuff behind. But depending on the incident, you may need to gather your essential belongings. Follow the directions given to you. Teachers should grab the attendance sheet or roster. And grab your phone if you can. Usually, teachers will lead the students out of the building. At the evacuation area, take attendance and note the time. Shelter. Some of you may have heard the term shelter in place. There are several reasons why you may need to take shelter. A hazard is something dangerous, like an earthquake, or something like a chemical spill nearby. The safety strategy is what you do in response to the hazard. An announcement might just state the hazard and safety strategy. Something like, shelter for the stated hazard using the stated safety strategy. And like all protocol, this directive will be repeated twice. In our state, it could be an earthquake. The safety strategy is drop, cover, and hold. For a hazmat risk, like a chemical spill, we might need to seal the room by taping plastic around the doors, vents, and windows. For schools near the coast, tsunamis are a possibility after an earthquake. Going to higher ground or further inland is that hazard's safety strategy. Always listen for instructions. The situation may be very dynamic, meaning that you might need to change your actions depending on what is happening. During a shelter event, teachers take attendance and note the time. We just covered all 5 standard response protocol. Practicing these 5 emergency actions will help you and your school community be safe during emergencies.